And welcome into a Monday edition of the Gabe Swartz Show. It's KC Sports Tonight at KCTV5. I'm Jared Koller. Where it's kind of a weird week, Gabe. We have a Chiefs game to react to, but whoa, look at him. Gabe,
Whoa,
chill.
I'm moving.
Chill. Take it easy.
Nimble and
all right.
agile
he's
on this Monday.
Looking like Santa's reindeer. Just don't know where he's going. So we have a Chiefs win to talk about. We want to talk about that. But then we're also, less than 48 hours away from another Chiefs game.
Barely over 48 hours
we're
from one game, and we're literally at the halfway point.
At the halfway point. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little college basketball and football as well. But Gabe, let's start with, were you at the game?
I was at the game.
Okay. Your impressions from your sideline view, and then impressions when you had some time to thaw out and think about what you witnessed.
Well, I rewatched the game from the TV copy last night. So
what a guy! So insight you'll only hear on the Gabe Swartz Show.
Exactly.
He did that for you for this reason.
Exactly. I was extremely impressed by the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. I thought it was top to bottom, aside from just a couple weird special teams decisions by Nico Remigio to return it.
Wow.
Aside from that, it was like probably their best game of the year. I thought that in the second half they actually showed some signs of life, and specifically on the touchdown drive that resulted in the Xavier Worthy touchdown, they did so without ever reaching third down, which is bonkers because the calling card of this year's Chiefs offense has been, we're just going to be decently positive on first and second down, and then we will go into Superman ball for Patrick Mahomes on third down, and he's going to play at a level that is league MVP worthy on third down.
Which he's done it sometimes this year, but not as much as maybe in past years.
Exactly. And for one drive in the second half, none of that was required because it all was clicking. And I think what we heard from Patrick Mahomes on Saturday and today of, hey, that was kind of a little more of what the offense looked like that we thought we were going to kind of get. That was very telling to me because I think we're starting to get to the point where they're trusting Xavier Worthy to do things. Marquise Brown being a guy who can beat man coverage is super important. And you can see that the stress and the reliance upon Travis Kelce is just not as significant as it was, or as we're so accustomed to it being the last couple of years. Yeah. And DeAndre Hopkins is reliable as well. There's just so many different options, and that's kind of what stood out to me.
Yeah, so I think actually it's interesting that you point that third down drive, because one of my top takeaways was a drive where they faced a handful of third downs. I believe it was their second touchdown drive where they, at the start of the drive, faced a third down. They completed it to Hollywood Brown for a big gain. Later in the drive, third down, Travis Kelce. Later in the drive, third down, Xavier Worthy. And then Kareem Hunt finishes it off with a touchdown. The conversions on third down is something that, a lot of times have been good at this year. But the way they did it, hitting Brown, Worthy, Kelce, Hopkins had conversions also. I think that was another example of how balanced the offense was. And on downs where they're like, hey, we need it, and they went to different guys. It's, as you said, it wasn't like, okay, third down is Travis Kelce's down. I mean, it kind of is, but hey, if you double team him like most teams do, we have Hollywood Brown to beat you at Xavier Worthy. And I thought this was a glimpse, not of the offense at its best. There still wasn't a deep ball. There was one that Justin Watson almost hauled in. Wasn't a perfect throw, but it was catchable. Wasn't like I wouldn't call that a drop, but it was catchable.
I thought it was a really good throw.
Yes, it wasn't a perfect. It wasn't like MVS dropping against the
Correct.
Eagles. So that's where on the layers thing. But
Justin Watson would tell you it was a ball that he should have caught.
Yes. And Patrick Mahomes would tell you it's a ball that could have been thrown better. But both are, I think I lean more towards fault on Watson than Mahomes. Either way, I think that's kind of the last step in the offensive evolution, but I thought it was a nice sign of the balance. Well, I will also say I'd like the run game to be a little bit better. Isaiah Pacheco continues to be very ineffective. But I thought the offensive line play was good enough. Joe Tooney continues to hold it down at left tackle. We don't know, at this rate, if DJ Humphries doesn't play Wednesday, I don't know what you do if you put Humphries back out there. Maybe you test run him in Denver. Either way, those are all kind of different storylines. Moral of the story, I thought it was the best win because of how balanced the offense looked.
Yeah, and I thought that when Juwan Taylor left the game, Wanya Morris looked really good at right tackle. And there was I don't believe Patrick Mahomes was sacked after the second drive of the game, which is really impressive, mostly because I don't think that it was just the typical Mahomes that we've seen where he's incredible at avoiding sacks. Mm-hmm. It was because the protection was actually
That's a good
really
point.
solid.
I think I didn't realize that because the second drive was so bad.
Because it was back-to-back sacks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I also think that Chiefs Kingdom should give a little tip of the cap to Andy Reid for first drive of the game, 4th and 2, and you've got a very easy spot where you could have said, you know what, I think it would have been like a 48 or 49-yard field goal.
Yeah, within Butker's range.
It was easily within Butker's range. Arrowhead there was murmurings, there was everybody yelling, go for it, go for it, go for it.
Including Gabe?
Including me, correct. And they went for it, and
I could hear you on the broadcast. I was like, that sounds like Gabe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then Hollywood Brown picked up a first down.
His very first catch of the year, which, again, I think shows the value in Hollywood Brown, is like right away.
Yeah.
Like, not that they wouldn't have converted if he wasn't out there, but I think his reliability is just another weapon, is another option who can win in single coverage. He can beat his man. Like I said this we'll say this on Price Shepherd Game Day, I think he's able to get open better than any target on the Chiefs offense. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's him and Worthy.
Yeah, and that's
Worthy's getting open quickly.
Right, but I think Brown's
now
a little bit more reliable and has a little bit more to work with. But right now they've been getting by on Kelsey, Gray, and Hopkins, who are solid targets, but they don't get separation. Now Brown adds a level of separation that I think they need to use in that 5 to 15-yard range. I know everybody's looking for the deep ball. I know he's a small guy. Like, you don't want him to get hurt again. But, like, come playoff time, those intermediate routes, doesn't have to be Rashee Rice, but he needs to have some of that look.
Yeah, it was noticeable on the first drive from being down there just how frequently Patrick Mahomes was looking toward Hollywood Brown. Like, his first snap of the game, he lined up wide out to the right, and the first read was Mahomes looking right toward Brown. I think he wanted him on a comeback, and it just was covered pretty well. Yeah. And then he looked elsewhere and found it. For those of us who may or may not have wagered a little bit of American currency on Hollywood Brown to catch a pass.
We don't condone here. We don't advise. We don't promote.
Yeah, but for those of us who did wager a little American currency on him to catch a pass on the first drive of the game at plus 400 odds, thank you, Andy Reid, for going for a fourth down.
No wonder you wanted them to go for
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I just think that it's very telling that there's Brown, there's Worthy, there's Hopkins and Kelsey. There's just a lot of guys. And
I put Gray in that. I mean, Gray is earned.
Oh, Noah Gray is one of the guys that you're absolutely.
I think
seeing
that top 5
Mahomes has trusted.
And then if Justin Watson is your 6th target, that's a fine spot for him to be.
And if Juju is your 7th,
thank you. I kind of forget about him.
I have to say this because I don't think that this is being picked up on by TV cameras, but when you're there at the game and you're down near the field, you're noticing this a lot. When the Chiefs run the ball or just when they throw screen passes to other people. If Juju Smith-Schuster's on the field and something good happens, nobody's happier about the result than Juju Smith-Schuster. And for a guy who got 1 target, no catches on Saturday, his energy is
it's that New England
commended.
Effect.
He's just happy
to be out of that dump. Which, by the way, New England, come on. You almost gave quite the Christmas gift. That game was odd. I think it's well-rounded and, we'll see how the health of the offensive line, because Juwan Taylor's questionable. DJ Humphries, I guess, questionable. He didn't practice again today. So at this rate, I would assume Joe Tooney's going to start at left tackle, not Wanya Morris. I think it was so important, or not important, so much of a difference to have Hollywood Brown back this week as opposed to his first game in the divisional round or Pittsburgh or Denver. Like having another, because he only had around 20 snaps. Like he wasn't on the field as much as I think he will be in the playoffs. So knocking the rust off this week, having him take his first hit, he wasn't really popped or anything, but getting some of that rapport now, seeing that again in Pittsburgh, knowing that Mahomes probably wouldn't play in Denver if they win, it's just so incredibly valuable. So I think that's a positive. As we look towards the next game, Gabe, what are some of those things coming out of the Texans game that you'll be watching for in the Steel City?
I'm very curious to see what the Chiefs' defense looks like. I don't think that they're going to play Chris Jones. I don't think that they should play Chris Jones.
And he did not practice today, so
it just does. And the thing is, the Chiefs' defense is so entirely reliant upon getting pressure from Chris Jones to help other people get pressure that if anything happens to him that ends his season, it is
toast.
A catastrophic blow for the defense.
You could argue he's the most, after Mahomes, most valuable player?
Easily.
Yeah, okay.
Easily. And so I just think that rushing him back on a short week that is not Sunday to Saturday, that is Saturday to Wednesday, would be, I think, a little bit irresponsible.
It's something you could manage. That's where maybe you just have a more limited snap count. You see how the game goes.
But you're getting decent pressure from a Menahue. I thought George Karlaftis had pressure several times on Saturday,
better games.
And actually was getting held on the one touchdown pass from Stroud to
Carl
Schultz.
Sheffers is a clown. He is a bum.
Carl Sheffers was having trouble tying his shoes on Saturday.
He does not deserve to wear the Foot Locker uniform, as Travis Kelce once said. And he even had some dumb, it wasn't like he was it went both ways, dumb ways, both ways. So, and just the communication, either way, he's a bum. But, he's probably a Bills fan because Bills fans are a bunch of bums. Which, on that note, okay, I was going to kind of get to the naughty and nice. We'll keep talking about the Steelers in this context. But, folks, the Bills might be frauds, okay? They might not be the big, bad Buffalo Bills, okay? They've given up 107 points in the last 3 weeks. That's not good, Gabe, okay? The goal is to not give up points. So we have that to base off of. And then, what do you think their record is against playoff teams this year?
Well, I know what the record is against playoff teams this year.
2-3.
Yeah, exactly.
And their point differential.
And you know what the Chiefs is?
6-1.
Exactly.
And the Chiefs
have a win over
weighted runs expected average. Chiefs plus 22 point differential against playoff teams. I believe the Bills are negative 15. Either way, it's in the negative. I have it in a script.
It's somewhere. A little skewed by the fact that they got absolutely pummeled by Baltimore in
Those
September.
Games count.
But the game does count.
If you're going to penalize the Chiefs for having close games, none of this means anything. It just matters when the Bills play the Chiefs again in the postseason, who's going to have the better day. That's what it matters. But
the real question is, will they play the Chiefs in the postseason? Because
I still think yes. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But
I think that there's a decent chance that it's kind of similar to the 2021 season, so the 2022 AFC Championship game and the AFC playoffs, in which there is very clearly three of the best teams in the AFC. It is the Chiefs, it is the Bills, and it is the Ravens. That year, it was the Chiefs, it was the Bills, and it was the Bengals.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people realize it about the Bengals because they were
lower seed.
The lower seed.
They knocked off if you remember, the Titans were the
one seed, but they were a fraud.
Yes.
They were. Yeah, exactly.
Ryan Tannehill, yeah.
And so the Chiefs, because they were the 2 seed, they got that extra wild card playoff game, which made them look super incredible because they crushed the Steelers. And so what I think is going to happen is the Bills are going to get the 2. The Bills are going to get a chance to play a Broncos team that also has whiffs of fraud, and I do not believe in Bo Nix throwing every single time when it's 3rd and 7 and all they're doing is throwing screen passes. That's the coach telling you what he believes in his quarterback. Yeah. Anyways, the Bills will crush them, but eventually it sets up well for the Chiefs if the Bills and Ravens, 2 versus 3 seed, have to play in the divisional round, and they have a slugfest game, kind of like the overtime 13-second thriller.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs get whoever slides through that, and that's why, again, Wednesday on KCTV 5 at noon,
company man,
Chiefs-Steelers is critical because you win, you get 3 weeks off
to
rest essentially, and you probably are going you're probably going to get the Texans in a rematch in the divisional round. And that's a Texans team that it's either the Texans, the Steelers, or the Chargers is what you're thinking about. It can shake out a number
of different ways. And first reaction, Gabe knows ball. He brought up a lot of great points there and in his history books because couple layers out. One, if the Chiefs win in less than 48 hours from now, they won't play another meaningful football game until December 18th in the divisional round.
January 18th or 19th.
Excuse me, January 18th or 19th. Yeah, that is a long rest.
Yeah.
And that's why
that's why if you don't play Chris Jones on Wednesday, he could have a month off.
Yeah, and that's why, you want to win, and why I want them to win with some confidence so that you don't go the next month going, another close, they got lucky again or whatever. I'd like a dominant win. So a couple things you said there that I think are important noting about the past, right? You learn from history. I know some people don't like how often I've aired highlight packages from past Chiefs games, but in reality, you can learn from the way teams looked in the past. The underrated storyline of that playoff run, Gabe, is that the Chiefs had to play both the Bengals or the Bills then the Bengals. They were worn out. Those were the three best teams, as you said. The next year, part of the reason I think the Chiefs got to the Super Bowl, they didn't have to play both the Bengals and the Bills.
Because they played each other.
The Bengals and Bills played each other,
and then the
Chiefs
beat
the Bengals. And I think part of the reason the Bengals lost is because they had to go give their best. That game was in Buffalo, whereas the Chiefs in the divisional round had the Jaguars. And Mahomes got hurt, and they were still able to win. If Mahomes get hurt in that divisional game against the Bengals, maybe it's different. So,
and I think that the Ravens are a bad matchup for the Bills. The Chiefs are a bad matchup for the Ravens. The Ravens could go on the road.
I think the Bills might be a bad matchup for the Chiefs.
Exactly. It's kind of that little circle of things. And so the Ravens going to Buffalo and winning a playoff game would not surprise me.
In whoever wins, you'll take, because both those teams both those defenses going up against either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson are going to be, having a little bit more of a toll compared to whoever the Chiefs play. I don't care if it's Chargers, Broncos, or Texans, or if it's the Staley High School Falcons. Sorry to name drop my high school there. But, the other thing when you brought up past Chiefs teams that I find very interesting is the symmetry between this team and the 2020 Chiefs. Have you thought about this at all? So I'm trying to think what spurred the Chiefs can become the first 15-win team in franchise history with a win, which is a little bit skewed because the extra game. But if they win out, they would become the first ever Chiefs team with only one loss. Every team in Chiefs history has at least two losses, which would be a heck of an accomplishment. But the comparison is the 2020 team. That year, they went 14-2, and one of their losses was last week with Chad Henne as quarterback against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. The 2020 Chiefs starters lost only one game all year, just like this year's team. It was at home against the Raiders. The other thing about those 2020 Chiefs, they had 7 games in a row before that Chargers game where they won by one score. Sound familiar? Remember, people, the narrative that year was how many defensive backs dropped Patrick Mahomes' interceptions, But that team was kind of getting by against some not great teams. That team played the NFC South again, so they had they barely beat the Panthers, barely beat the Falcons. That team kind of, got in, and then they go all the way to the Super Bowl, but offensive line issues doomed them in the Super Bowl. Offensive line has been a struggle this year, not necessarily as injury related. Right now, so there's the symmetry that I think is interesting. Would you take, if you said you can lock a Super Bowl appearance but they lose, or the field, which would you take?
Oh man, I mean, see, that's the thing is,
that's tough.
I think that a Super Bowl appearance and a loss is, if you're just playing the true pure math of 100% of outcomes, Super Bowl loss is probably the most likely outcome at the moment. But I just don't know, because the NFC every week.
Yeah.
It is.
That's what I would not take.
It is.
And with it looks like them having the 1 seed, so that they might only have to get through one really, really tough playoff game. That's why I would not take it. But if they do and they lose because the offensive line is bad, it's still a good season to a degree.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that's the way that I would put it. Is it would not surprise me if they get to the Super Bowl and
if it goes in that path, it would be almost the exact same as 2020, which would be interesting. So, all right, final thoughts on this Steelers game or prediction. Like, I think they're either going to win it in the last 5 seconds or they're going to win by 25. Like, I think there's a chance that they
win by 25.
I think there's that chance because I think the Steelers.
Well, George Pickens has somehow gotten healthy in time to play this game.
Steelers can be good, but they also they're coming off. We're talking about the Chiefs being tired in this stretch. Steelers have had the exact same stretch.
Yes,
that is the one nice thing about this 3-11 is that they're in the same playing field. But they just went on the road to Philly, on the road to Baltimore, and now they've got the Chiefs coming in that are coming off their best game of the year. Russell Wilson has kind of decreased a little bit. Like, you've got that healthy and fresh Hollywood Brown. Xavier Worthy looks even better. Like, I think there's a chance that this one is over by the time the fourth quarter and we see Carson Wentz after all.
I don't think that.
Okay.
I think that the Chiefs will win. I don't think that it will be a Christmas Day blowout. I would love to be
That'd
wrong.
Be great.
I would love to
and
be
I'm not
wrong.
even saying I necessarily this is going to happen. Like, I'm not as confident in this as I was the Kansas City Royals win-loss over-under for 2024. I'm not placing that amount of American currency on it. But I think it's there for the taking. I really do.
The small part of me that believes that it's possible is just because the Chiefs have had a history of really handling the Steelers the last few years.
Oh, okay.
Dating back to, I think literally since the Chris Boswell 6 field goal playoff loss.
Yeah, the
Chiefs have.
Would you count Mahomes' third start where they won 42-37, but he threw 6 touchdowns?
Yes. Because the Chiefs, the Steelers, points. But that was still the Ben Roethlisberger Steelers.
And that was the Bob Sutton defense.
That was the Bob Sutton defense. But that's the thing is that the Chiefs have, for the Steelers being built on defense, the Chiefs have handled that defense frequently, even when they've had better defenses than this year.
That playoff wildcard win over the Steelers was fun. Nick Allegretti caught a touchdown pass. Travis Kelce threw a touchdown pass.
I also
got down early.
I also think the small little canary in the coal mine when you're talking about they just played the Eagles and they just played the Ravens is they also just played the Ravens on Saturday at 3:30. The Chiefs played at 12. Yeah. They got an extra 3 hours of.
But it's in Pittsburgh, so they'll gain that by not having to travel, I think.
Okay.
Either way, it's funny you bring up the Chiefs Steelers history. Patrick Mahomes threw 6 touchdowns against the Steelers in his 3rd career start. That was the last time he went to Pittsburgh. So first time he's going there since week 2 of 2018. Can you name the 5 players who found the end zone on the receiving end of Patrick Mahomes' touchdowns?
In 2018?
Yep, so it'd be week 2, 2018.
Travis Kelce.
Scored twice.
DeMarcus Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and...
That was impressive how quickly you named the 5.
Was that all of them?
No, there's one more.
The
5 touchdowns.
Chris Conley.
Wow. Whoa. I know ball. I don't know if I would have gotten that fast. I might have thrown a DeAnthony Thomas in there, Sammy Watkins wasn't on.
Sammy Watkins was on that team.
That was his first year. Oh, he had the Jacksonville week. No, that was the next year with him. All right, I'm getting my early weeks confused. Sammy Watkins had that massive week 1 in Jacksonville the following year. So the Chiefs return to the Steel City. Should be fun. Okay, Gabe, headlines on the hardwood this weekend. K-State loses to Wichita State. Kansas State men's basketball is 5-6 in non-conference play and does not look particularly good. Mizzou almost beats Illinois, maybe should have beat Illinois. A weird game where they kind of dig themselves a hole. They come back. Illinois makes 22 of their first 22 free throws. And they misses the last one, which gives Mizzou a shot at the buzzer at 3. They miss, whereas Mizzou missed 9 free throws. They also had a couple shot selections that leave a lot to be desired. But still, I think a good performance because I think Illinois is good and Mizzou played well. And then Kansas absolutely rolls Brown, but the way in which they did it, Zeke Mayo scoring 25 after his last time out, he scored 26. Hunter Dickinson double-double. They looked really, really strong. Again, not Brown, but the way in which they won. Any one of those three headlines you want to take a stab at?
I think that the KU one means the least. It's just it is what it is. Zeke Mayo emerging is kind of is huge for the rest of the year. Mizzou, I thought I watched just the second half of that game and the late stretch at the end. And
physical game.
I just don't understand drawing up a 3 for Mark Mitchell.
Okay, I don't know if it was drawn up just for that the only option. When I went back and watched that, it looked like there was a couple different layers. One that they could have gone to earlier. And, yes, a Mark Mitchell
but he also kind of settled.
Right. I mean, he did the pump fake, and then I think he could have kicked it out.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to argue, with the game on the line, you should never have any play that Mark Mitchell has an option to shoot a 3. Okay, that's fine. But
Probably
I don't think in the huddle, Dennis Gates was like, okay, guys, it's Mark Mitchell 3 or nothing else. Like, I don't think that.
He's got to know then with the amount of time left. And I mean, that part.
Especially after the KU game.
Amazed me.
He hit the big 3 against KU.
Yeah, but there's a difference between shooting a 3.
I agree.
Down 2 and a shooting a 3 up 2.
I don't want Mark Mitchell shooting many threes. I think he's going to. So
So there's that. As far as the biggest development, I think it's K-State. I think when you date back to Tuesday night against Drake, I think when you look at earlier this year when they played LSU in Manhattan in a game where I know that the SEC has been significantly better than people anticipated, and even LSU has been better than people anticipated, but you know that Cam Carter's going to come into town fired up to play his old team, and you still let him go for double figures, and they beat you. Drake, you fight back, and you still get beat at the end. And then Saturday night you lose, and then in the post-game presser, Jerome Tang's talking about, I don't think that this game does anything for us.
Which is such a dumb...
The rest of your schedule is littered with playing like Mississippi Valley State.
And I'm not saying he's wrong, but I don't like hearing that.
I think he is wrong because the K-State has just not scheduled super tough.
But neither is Mizzou. I mean, and I think that paid dividends for him.
Yeah, it's...
But as a college basketball fan, I want them to play tougher games. Like KU's non-con schedule is awesome.
Yeah. There has to be a middle ground between playing what KU does versus playing
Mizzou does.
Mississippi Valley State and everybody who's in the 340s and below in KenPom.
That's fair.
And I just 6-5 through the non-conference slate, they're the worst. Like K-State is the worst team in the Big 12.
And it's not like Wichita. Like, we know Wichita State has been good at time. Wichita State lost to UMKC. Now, UMKC also not bad. The Roos are solid. But, like, that's not a great loss. I know it's on the road, but, like, the
roster...
It's odd.
The roster doesn't make a whole ton of sense. 2 straight years you're losing a guy to either... The administration won't let them play, or you're suspending them and letting them leave. There's odd, but I just think that Jerome Tang is losing the fan base. Like the vibes on K-State Twitter is not high.
Well, that's Twitter in general. I agree though, but I think it's still salvageable. I don't think it's past the point of no return. And if they can have a good conference play, I think their tournament odds are pretty much done. But I think. I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat yet, but it's crazy how quickly things have fallen from almost making the Final Four in year one. And that's why I go back to that freaking game in Madison Square Garden. It's why they needed to win that game, and they should have won that game because you don't know when they're going to get back. And at this point, it might be a little while. So.
And Coleman Hawkins on Sunday afternoon tweeting about zebras, the refs in the Illinois-Mizzou game. Like, if you're going to be that invested in Illinois basketball's result and you come to Kansas City and you watch the Illinois-Arkansas game, then just stay at Illinois for a 5th year.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time criticizing a college kid for what he does in his free time like that or what he tweets about. But I get it's a tough look when you're making the money that he's making. So it's a valid criticism, Gabe. It's
odd behavior to be outwardly a fan of another Power 5, Power 4 conference team in college basketball while you're actively playing college basketball at another Power conference team.
I think we're seeing a lot of that. I remember Adrian Martinez was like still rooting for Nebraska when he was at Kansas. Like, is Will Howard?
He wasn't tweeting during games. I've never seen Will Howard tweeting about Avery Johnson during games.
Right. I agree. It's not great. I can't
I just
can't
think
go
it's a
that
bad
far.
look.
Right. Would I prefer the alternative? Yes. Am I going to criticize him for it? I can't.